The elect are given knowledge of the mysteries and are illumined, and are thus known as the Illuminati, are the illuminated ones, the guardians of the secrets of the ages, end quote. 3 early secret societies that can be directly connected to a modern descendant are the cults of Roshaniya, Mithras, and their counterpart, the Builders. They have many things in common with the Freemasons of today, as well as with many other branches of the Illuminati. For instance, common to the Brotherhood are the symbolic rebirth into a new life, without going through the portal of death during initiation, reference to the lion and the grip of the lion's paw in the Master Mason's degree, the 3 degrees, which is the same as the ancient Masonic rites before the many other degrees were added, the ladder of 7 rungs, men only, and of course, the all-seeing eye. And you might ask, after hearing this broadcast, here we are in America. Why is there a pyramid on the back of the $1 bill with an all-seeing eye floating above it in a smaller pyramid, surrounded by rays of light? Of special interest is the powerful society in Afghanistan, in ancient times called the Roshaniya, or the Illuminated Ones. There are actually references to this very mystical cult going back through history to the House of Wisdom at Cairo. At one time, Arabia, ladies and gentlemen, was the seat of all of the knowledge in the world. In fact, they had the only universities in the entire world. The major tenets of this cult were the abolition of private property, the elimination of religion, the elimination of nation-states, the belief that illumination emanated from the Supreme Being who desired a class of perfect men and women to carry out the organization and direction of the world, belief in a plan to reshape the social system of the world by first taking control of individual countries one by one, and the belief that after reaching the 4th degree, one could communicate directly with the unknown supervisors who had imparted knowledge to initiates throughout the ages. Wise men will again recognize the Brotherhood. In fact, the Brotherhood today believes in these very same tenets. And if you are indeed observant, you can see that this is exactly what they have done and what they are in the process of completing. It's called socialism. Can you hear the echo of the Nazi Party? These liars, these deceivers, call those of us who love liberty and freedom and who would restrict the power of government, and who would be responsible for our lives, Nazis. It is one of the greatest deceptions of the modern age, ladies and gentlemen, for Nazis were socialists. Hitler was a socialist. Nazi literally means National Socialism. Hitler nationalized everything. Hitler created programs for everybody on every level. Nazis, ladies and gentlemen, are not right-wing, freedom-loving, responsible individuals. Nazis are socialists. Always have been, always will. Socialism is the father of fascism, which is a marriage of the social state with the corporate elite. Have you fallen for the deception? Do you refer to people on the right as Nazis? And do you, as a member of the Nazi Party, call yourself right-wing? Claim that you love liberty and freedom? If you do, you've not only been lied to, but you're lying to yourselves and everyone else. You are, in fact, socialist fascists. And you are properly categorized on the left just above communism. The important fact to remember is that the leaders of both the right and the left are a small, hard core of men who have been and still are Illuminists, or members of the Brotherhood. They may have been or may be members of the Christian or Jewish religions, or atheists or Buddhists, but that is only to further their own ends. Remember, the end justifies the means. They are and always have been Luciferian and internationalist. Today, the Southern Baptist Church is in the total control of the Freemasonic Lodge. They give allegiance to no particular nation, although they have used on occasion nationalism to further their cause. Their only concern is to gain greater economic and political power. The ultimate objective of the leaders of both groups is identical. That is why it doesn't make any difference whether you elect Democrat or Republican. The result has always been the same. And we go closer and closer to one world totalitarian socialist government. After all, wasn't it George Bush, a so-called right-wing conservative Republican, who first used the term New World Order? They are determined to win for themselves undisputed control of the wealth, natural resources, and manpower of the entire planet. They intend to turn the world into their conception of a Luciferian totalitarian socialist state. In the process, they will eliminate all Christians, Jews, and atheists. And that's why you better stop picking on the Jews. The Jews who are involved in this, who call themselves Jews, are not Jews at all. And doesn't the Bible tell you something about that? Those Jews who really are Jews will be eliminated, along with fundamentalist Muslims. You've just learned one, but only one, of the great mysteries of what is coming in the future. The Rosh Hashanah also called themselves the Order. Initiates took an oath that absolved them from all allegiance except to the Order and stated, quote, "I bind myself to perpetual silence and unshaken loyalty and submission to the Order. All humanity which cannot identify itself by our secret sign is our lawful prey," end quote. The oath remains essentially the same to this day. The secret sign was to pass a hand over the forehead, palm inward. The countersign to hold the ear with the fingers and support the elbow in the cupped other hand. Does that sound familiar? Have you seen people exchange these signs right before your nose, and you knew not what was happening? There are many other signs, a handshake, and many others. The 5 points of fellowship. The order at the highest level is known as the Order of the Quest, or the Jason Society. The cult preached that there was no heaven, no hell, only a spirit state completely different from life as we know it. The spirit could continue to be powerful on earth through a member of the order, but only if the spirit had been itself a member of the order before its death. Thus, members of the order gained power from the spirits of the dead members. Now listen to this very closely. And if you attended the Cure Convention in Wichita, Kansas, this last weekend, listen very carefully. You're going to learn something. The Rosh Hashanah took in travelers as initiates and then sent them on their way to found new chapters of the order. It is believed by some that the assassins were a branch of the Rosh Hashanah. Branches of the Rosh Hashanah, or the illuminated ones, or the Illuminati, existed and still exist everywhere. One of the rules was not to use the same name and never mention the Illuminati. That rule is still in effect today. I believe that it is the breaking of this rule that resulted in Adam Weishaupt's downfall. And ever since that day, ladies and gentlemen, they call themselves fellow travelers. And this last weekend at the Cure Convention, one of the candidates for president, who was nominated but did not, or excuse me, was nominated to be considered for the nomination but was not elected, in his farewell speech, said that he was so happy to have met so many fellow travelers during the Cure Convention. All of you should read again the works of Hegel. The entire, and I mean the entire text of tonight's broadcast was taken from my book, the chapter entitled Secret Societies in the New World Order. Behold a Pale Horse. I wrote this over 5 years ago, ladies and gentlemen. Much of it I wrote 6 and 7 years ago. And it has been the underground bestseller ever since its publication. And that's not a pitch to buy it. That's just my normal source so that you'll know where the information came from. Good night, and God bless each and every single one of you.